Yep. Here I am, folks. This is your man, Adolphus AD for High Top NRG Stadium. Well, this afternoon, the Texans secured the fifth wild card spot, defeating the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 38-30. And it was a wild ending, folks. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But before I get to that, tipping the hats in Texas, third year in a row, going to the playoffs under head coach D'Amico Ryan. But one thing, and this is the thing I sort of asked Henry Toa, the fact that this is a much more mature team now, and so we'll see exactly once they actually get in the playoff. But and that'll be out on my social media platform. But while I got the opportunity and some daylight, got my good friend Elwyn Henderson, the Gilmer Mirror, who was here and got in the game activity, and want to bring him in and just sort of get his viewpoints on the game before he gets out of range. Let me see, did I get it? Let me see. Elwyn, no, let me see. What happened? Let me see. I think I lost. Add Elwyn. Yeah. Oh. Elwyn, let's see. Nope. Hold on, just a little technical difficulties, folks. There he is. Elwyn, there you go. You're back up now.
Yeah, you just disappeared all of a sudden.
Well, I think you disappeared. I was still watching you. But anyway, Texas final score 38-30 on the Indianapolis Colts. Your initial comments after watching the game today. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, they did exactly what they had to do, and that was whatever you got to do to win the game. It wasn't beautiful at first. It was a slow first quarter, but the team did what they had to do. They got the victory, got the ninth win in a row, and of course now, more importantly, heading into the playoffs with a ton of momentum. And I don't know how many people that might be watching AD saw Mark Vanderveer's show, that's on ABC 13 on Saturday night after the news before every game.
Yeah, you just gave him a nice plug. You just gave him a nice plug, but that's okay.
It was so cool because they talked a lot about Togiak and about how he suddenly was appearing that he was quiet, that, he was not somebody that was maybe expected to provide a lot of action, but that he always seemed to be at the right place at the right time. And for probably about 10 minutes, they talked about him, and then had D'Amico Ryans talk about him when he came on his portion of the show last night. And so I thought it was so cool and so fitting that he was featured on that show last night and then got that ending he got. And as we talked about, you could tell when he got that fumble after that fourth lateral, I don't think a Mack truck could have stopped him from getting that end zone. It was awesome. Just a great finish. And, of course, as you heard D'Amico Ryan say, they told him before the game today, when you score a touchdown, we're going to come celebrate with you in the end zone. And the whole team ran into that end zone on that last play to celebrate with him. I just thought it was such a cool and wonderful thing and just a great tribute to his hard work. And again, like you said at the beginning of the show, congratulations to the Texans. Third year in a row in the playoffs, tied their most wins ever in a season. And I'll tell you what, I think everybody now, anybody that might have been questioning it the first year or two, is going, man, this team has it together. Like you said, they're much more mature now. They've got it together. They've got a great general manager, a great head coach, a great franchise quarterback, great receivers, number one defense in the league. The only thing they're missing is that Vince Lombardi trophy. And I know they're going to be a dark horse, but I firmly believe this team does have the capability with that maturity to make it all the way and hoist that Lombardi trophy come February in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was an interesting, the very first play of the game, and here's what's interesting: the Texans, the Colts won, lost the kickoff, lost the coin toss, And so I just assumed the Texans was going to defer, but they didn't.
Yep.
They took the ball, and I'm sure CJ is going to kick himself once he sees it on film. But CJ, very first play of the game, he could have threw a bomb. He had a receiver wide open,
Oh,
and he
yep.
did- and he took the check down. Well, I won't call it the check down, but he was
Yep.
he was going through his progression, and as he was going through his progressions, he didn't see the receivers, and I want to say I want to say it was Jaden Higgins. I got to go back. I got to go back
Yeah.
and check. It
I
was.
believe it was.
Yeah, and anyway, Higgins broke open, and he was so wide up, but he had already sort of gone through his progression, and so he had, instead of just taking an extra step to go to his second read, he took his first read. It was open. He hit him, but if he would have just held the ball another second, he could have had a opening play
Yep.
touchdown. But as is the case, the Texans, they a little sluggish in that first quarter was a little sluggish, and so you take it for what it's worth. Up, let's see. Elwyn got knocked out. Let me add him back to the scene again. Anyway, as I try to bring Elwyn back in, they'll look at that tomorrow. But yeah, there you go. You back on. He's frozen. Can. Yep, he's knocked off again. Think he might be frozen. Yeah, Elwyn, are you cool now? Are you froze again? Elwyn? Yeah, he's not communicating because I'm looking down. I'm not getting. I can see him. Elwyn, can you hear me? Well, anyway, it's not happening. Oh, there it is. Hey, I think he but trying to get out of range. Can you still hear me? You're not hearing me. I'm not getting much bandwidth. Hey, Elwyn, can you still hear me? Ah, tell you what, I might have to remove him from the scene. Yeah, remove him from the scene, and let me go back up. Let me go back. Oh, I'll see if I can't bring him back in a little. Oh, you got me now? Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, I tell you what. Why don't you go ahead? You got full screen. Let me go ahead and let you wrap up where you are. Then I'll go back. I'll go back to my deal. Okay.
Okay. Well, obviously, I think everybody knows now with the Jaguars winning their game over the Titans, the Texans will be playing the winner of tonight's Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers game. And we think that game's going to be on Monday. We're thinking it'd probably be a Monday night game. And that would be good if the Texans will did get an extra day to prepare for it for sure.
Yeah. That's the sense I'm getting. Let me see. Two speakers. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Now that's the sense I'm getting as well. But we'll find out, like I said, later on tonight. And if it is Monday, that sort of gives me an extra day to plan to do what I need to get done, and sort of move on. So we'll take it like that. Hey, I tell you what, I know we got some communication issues. Why don't we go?
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and wrap up yours because you about to lose the daylight. Wrap up your deal, and then I'll get back to the clips I got, and I'll finish up the show once you get through.
Okay. Well, the only other thing I've got to add, you remember, of course, D'Amico saying at the end when somebody asked him if his touchdown run was supposed to be to him or was it Tommy? Anyway, and D'Amico said, we wanted to score. and he laughed. Well, when CJ came in, the same reporter that had asked D'Amico about it asked CJ about it, and he busted out laughing and he goes, "No, that was not supposed to be mine. I was supposed to hand it off," and that he had been warned that the lineman tended to shift and that he would have to avoid the lineman, and that's why he needed to hand it off. And he said, but somehow or another, I avoided him. I saw the opening. I missed him. He didn't get me, and I scored. And he said, I felt really bad because that was one of my Buckeye players from our Ohio State days. But he said, he forgave me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. All right, hey, E, final, your final comments, and then I'll move on. Okay.
All right. Well, again, I'm just tickled to death to see the Texans make it for the third year in a row, which, as we know, first time in franchise history that's done, that they've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. And as you've already mentioned, this team is a much more mature team now. And I firmly believe they're going to get past that divisional round. And there's no doubt in my mind, I'll go out on a limb and say it. They will at least be in the AFC Championship game. I believe that with all my heart.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to see. Hey, man, hey, buddy, I tell you what, appreciate it. Be careful down going down the road, and we'll talk later on, okay?
All right, AD, appreciate it, buddy. And you make sure you bring them through next weekend.
All right, take care, man.
You bet. Bye bye.
Yep, Elwyn's going to appreciate him. Got him from the. Still had it now. Oh, there I am now. All right, folks. Yeah, I'm back. As Elwyn mentioned succinctly about the Texans, we hopefully we look to have them. I would love, be quite candid with from a bias standpoint. I would love to have a Monday that last game of the wild card weekend for it to be Monday night. I don't envision being in, i.e., Pittsburgh or Baltimore, but I tell you what, I would love to close out the wild card weekend and then see if they can do it again. Because I was telling somebody earlier today, I remember when I was trying to. This is the old Houston Oilers story when the Oilers were up high on the Buffalo Bills and they came back. That I was anticipating going to cover that game in Pittsburgh when the Oilers at that time. However, everybody know the story. The Buffalo Bills came back about 31 points down and actually won that game. So, hey, that's the nature of the beast, and so that's it. Anyway, I want to go ahead and get Coach D'Amico Ryans in and his comments. Then I'm going to Tommy Toe guy and ask him about the touchdown run of his.
Coach, can you talk about, you mentioned you pulled out several players and Davis Mills came in and really sort of closed it out. That, to me, that sort of added a crown to hit what he did for those 3 games when CJ was out, and then several other backup players. But they sort of held the fort down just to keep that game when you could win it at the end.
When Davis, went in there, we were a little bit ahead of the 2-minute warning there at the end, and I told the guys it's time for a little Mills magic. That's what he's done before. We've seen him lead our team to victory there in 2-minute situations. So everyone was calm in the moment, understanding that we knew Davis would be able to make the plays to get us down. Want to get in range there to hit the field goal, and Davis did exactly that. We threw the ball, ran the ball, whatever we needed to do to gain yards. Davis was able to execute the offense in such a great manner to put us in position to win the game.
Yep, Coach D'Amico Ryans talking about Davis because they were able to replace several players. I mean, Nico Collins didn't even dress. There were several players that did not dress. Nico Collins was not an injury scratch. It was just didn't need him. They didn't think they need him, so they kept him out. And I think the Iowa Cyclone receiving core. I think they held their own, and they earned the right to hold the start. And between Higgins, Jalen, between Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, and Xavier Hutchinson and so forth. That was the situation. So, we have to, you know, you have to just sort of tip your hat. And let me just say this right now: that the Texans draft picks this past year's draft picks were big contributors to this team. You go back and look at those draft picks. Both of the Iowa Cyclone receiving core. You got Woody Marks. Players contributed well, and I can't say enough about Ariante Irsay, the draft pick out of Minnesota who took over that left tackle position as a rookie. Think about what I'm just saying, folks. As a rookie, Ariana Irsay took it over, and he has a remarkable growth at that position. And I said it last week. I'll say it this week. I know the All-Pro team is already out. There should have been a spot for Titus Howard on that team. He's played every position on that offensive line. Only thing he hadn't done that would, and if he'd have been a center, if he had snapped the ball, he would equal what Bruce Matthews done with the Houston Oilers and been playing every position on that offensive line. But he played both guards. He's played both tackle positions. And so, in my humble opinion, and I think that Titus Howard there should have been a spot, but he played too many positions. But if you go back and look at next game snaps, and look at the different positions, you will find Titus graded out, with the exception maybe one game in one of the losses. Other than that, Titus Howard has graded out, I thought, exceptionally well. But he played so many different positions. The voters probably couldn't figure out a way where to find him at. But if they had to put in beside even the second string one, but for a guy who played all the positions, I thought, in my humble opinion, he should have been a spot on the All-Pro team. But it wasn't the case. Elwyn mentioned Tommy Togai, who was on the 13 show for the Texans show that Saturday night because he had the chance to look at it. I got a chance to ask Tommy about the about that touchdown run. And quickly,
Tommy, let me ask a quick question. It seemed like when you got to the end zone, did you don't dive for the end zone just to make sure you got in there?
I did. I was like, so I took a hit too, but I was like, I got it. And then I was like diving just to get across that goal line, whatever it took to get in the end zone.
Yeah. So, and Elwyn alluded to it. Tommy was, the prior question, I just got this clip that I wanted him to get, to play. But the thing about it, he said, yeah, it was we sort of expected what the rugby play that they were going to play, and what they started throwing the ball all over the field. And as Tommy Togai said, he said, I just started watching the ball and just had it just went to the rugby style mode and the way they've been coaching. Really, you have to sort of think about it, folks. The way the Texans played that was absolutely, coaching. That's part of a good coaching staff, is the way they played it. And so, you take your hat off to the Houston Texans. Now, here's what happens. We know the Texans have solidified the 5th spot for the playoffs. Where they will play will be determined tonight on the Sunday night game on the Sunday night game between the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. The Texans have already played the Ravens once. In fact, they snapped. They got a lot of just revenge because I know Lamar Jackson was out, but the front of the jersey said Baltimore Ravens, and they still showed up. And the Texans went up there and extracted amount of, shall we say, some bad luck that they've had, because the Baltimore Ravens had been using them for a stepping stone, or almost a floor mat, for the last several games. But the Texans extracted amount of revenge out of them. So So the winner of the Steelers Ravens game will be on tap tonight, and that will set us up as to where we'll be going. And as I already alluded to it, Just maybe the Texans, because if you go back and remember all the other prior playoff game, wild card games, the Texans have always had been that first game on Saturdays for wild card weekend. And so maybe they can probably get and I know they got some prime Monday night games. They had some prime games this year with looking at their record. Maybe their luck will hold this year and they'll get that game Monday night. But we won't find out. We won't the actual playoff schedule won't be released until the end of the game, end of that Sunday night game. So we'll just have to wait and see like everybody else. But as we're getting ready to wrap it up here, again, I want to thank Elwyn Henderson and we wish him good luck driving down the road, heading back home. And I'll look to figure out where the corner will be broadcasting from next week, more likely. And like I say, this is more of a whoosh. If it is that Monday night game, excuse me, that gives me additional day to figure out room and board and travel plans. But regardless of the circumstances, if the good Lord's willing, I plan on being traveling and going to the site of that game, and then probably being there and having to travel to the divisional site, which could be it. Well, let's put it like that: it could be New England, or it could be the Denver Broncos, who, by the way, are still leading the San Diego Chargers even now as this program is in progress. So, folks, as we get ready to wrap it up, hey, appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thank everyone for comments. Thank you for chiming in, even all the comments offline and everything. By the way, if you have not subscribed to the AdMax Corner YouTube channel, please do so. And if you know, not only the AdMax Corner YouTube channel, but the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Subscribe to both of them. The playoffs are here. The corner will be at the sites as we move through the playoff season, and then we're still waiting on to find out about the Super Bowl in Santa Monica at Levi's Stadium, because in fact, I talked to Elwyn about has he heard anything. So everybody's sort of waiting to see what the who's going about the credential request that we've all turned in. But anyway, as I stated earlier, thank you. Happy New Year to everyone out there. I know it's the 4th. It's a little bit old right now, but still, Happy New Year. Let's be careful. Let's be safe out there. Let's be respectful of one another. So this is your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore, signing off from NRG Stadium, where today the Houston Texans secured the fifth spot in the playoffs, and with a 38-30 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. They swept the Colts this year, and so they will wait and find out who their opponent, where they have to travel to, because the Jacksonville Jaguars decidedly handled the Tennessee Titans today, and so they'll won the AFC South, and they'll get a chance to be at home for their first game as by virtue of winning the AFC South, being a divisional winner. Matters not, Texas. The main thing, we're in the playoffs, and so as I alluded to it earlier, and that's Henry told to put that clip will be out on the Instagram page, and as well as the YouTube channel. Those shorts would be out there, and those comments would be out there. But I think this team is matured enough to go on the road and take care of business. But signing off, folks, hey, ciao. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. Be safe, be careful out there. And we'll be looking to be somewhere next week broadcasting from the corner. It's your man, ciao. I am out, and take care, folks.